Adolf Hitler, the leader of the Nazi Party in Germany, was one of the most powerful and infamous dictators of the 20th century. Beginning in 1933, Hitler seized absolute power in Germany by exploiting economic problems, social instability, and political infighting. World War II broke out after Germany invaded Poland in 1939, and by 1941, Nazi forces had conquered much of Europe. The slaughter of about 6 million Jews, as well as other Holocaust victims, was fueled by Hitler's virulent anti-Semitism and obsessive pursuit of Aryan supremacy. Hitler committed suicide in a Berlin bunker in April 1945. Adolf Hitler's life, rise to power, and death. Adolf Hitler's rise. In late 1918, after returning to Munich, Hitler joined the small German Workers' Party, which aimed to combine working-class concerns with a strong feeling of German nationalism. In one of Hitler's strokes of propaganda genius, the newly renamed National Socialist German Workers' Party, or Nazi Party, chose a variant of the traditional sign of the Hakenkreuz, or hooked cross, as its emblem. By the end of 1921, Hitler was the leader of the expanding Nazi Party, seizing on widespread dissatisfaction with the Weimar Republic and the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles. Many dissatisfied former army men in Munich would join the Nazis, including Ernst Röhm, who founded Hitler's strong armed troops, the Sturmabteilung, which safeguarded party events and targeted opponents. On the evening of November 8, 1923, members of the SA and others forcibly entered a huge beer hall where another right-wing leader was giving a speech. The beer hall putsch elevated Hitler as a national figure and, in the view of many, a hero of right-wing nationalism, despite its stunning failure. During this time, Hitler began dictating the book that would eventually become Mein Kampf, with the first volume released in 1925. In it, Hitler enlarged on the nationalistic, anti-Semitic convictions he had formed in Vienna when he was in his early 20s, and outlined his goals for the Germany and the world he planned to establish once he ascended to power. It started off slowly, but as Hitler rose to power, including as Austria, the Sudetenland, Czechoslovakia, Poland, and Russia, in order to fulfill its destiny. By the time Hitler was released from jail, the Weimar Republic had regained some popular support, and support for right-wing causes like Nazism appeared to be diminishing. He immediately fell in love with Eva Braun, a Munich shop employee, but refused to marry her. Hitler cultivated Nazi support among German conservatives, including army, economic, and industrial leaders, in order to obtain political power and influence over his revolution. 3 chancellors failed to hold control of the government, and in late January 1933, Hindenburg appointed the 43-year-old Hitler as chancellor, crowning an unlikely leader's spectacular rise. The Third Reich, or as the Nazis dubbed it, the Thousand-Year Reich, after Hitler's promise that it would last a century, was established on January 30, 1933. Despite the fact that the Nazis never received more than 37% of the vote at their peak in 1932, Hitler was able to gain ultimate power in Germany partly owing to divisions and inaction within the anti-Nazi majority. Following a terrible fire at Germany's parliament building, the Reichstag, in February 1933, possibly set by a Dutch communist, although later evidence showed Nazis instigated the fire, Hitler had a justification to intensify political oppression and brutality against his opponents. All non-Nazi parties, labor unions, and other organizations ceased to exist within months after the government enacted a statute designating the Nazi Party to be Germany's sole political party in July. With his authoritarian power in Germany secure, Hitler turned his attention to the rest of Europe. By early the following year, Hitler had pulled Germany out of the League of Nations and begun militarizing the country in preparation for his territorial invasion. Barred from competing, more decrees disenfranchised Jews and stripped them of their political and civil rights over the next few years. Apart from anti-Semitism, Hitler's dictatorship attempted to establish Nazism's cultural dominance by burning books, forcing newspapers to close, using radio and film for propaganda, and forcing teachers throughout Germany's educational system to join the party. The Geheimstaatspolizei, or secret state police, was a branch of the SS that grew in power during this time and was responsible for most of the Nazi persecution of Jews and others. Hitler ordered German forces to reoccupy the demilitarized left bank of the Rhine in March 1936, against the recommendation of his generals. Over the next 2 years, Germany formed agreements with Italy and Japan, seized Austria, and moved closer to Czechoslovakia, generally without protest from the UK, France, or the rest of the international community. On September 1, 1939, Nazi troops invaded Poland, prompting Britain and France to declare war on Germany. Hitler supported a plan offered by one of his generals to assault France through the Ardennes forest after ordering the annexation of Norway and Denmark in April 1940. On May 10, the Blitzkrieg, Lightning War, offensive began. Holland and Belgium rapidly surrendered. Hitler had planned to push Britain to seek peace as well, but when that failed, he resumed his attacks on Britain, followed by an invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941. Hitler's main goal at that point in the war was to break the coalition of his three rivals, Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union, by compelling one of them to make peace with him. Beginning in 1933, the SS ran a network of concentration camps, including the infamous Dachau camp outside Munich, to detain Jews and other Nazi targets. Following the outbreak of the war, the Nazis turned their focus from removing Jews from German-controlled areas to exterminating them. Einsatzgruppen, or mobile killing squads, killed entire Jewish communities after the Soviet invasion, while the existing concentration camp network grew to include death camps like Auschwitz-Birkenau in occupied Poland. Though the Nazis imprisoned and executed Catholics, homosexuals, political dissidents, Roma, Gypsies, and the crippled, they mostly targeted Jews, killing approximately 6 million of them in German-occupied Europe by the end of the war. End of World War II. Hitler married Eva Braun in the Berlin bunker at 12 a.m. on the night of April 28 to world's history.